Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is Mitch. Good Sunday morning to you all. Hope you guys are doing well out there, having yourselves a great start to your day as always, and having a great weekend so far as we round it off one last day and then we head into another work week. But I got you an update on what's going to happen weather-wise specifically for today, as we always do in these weather videos. Sometimes I sound like a robot saying that first 15 seconds of the video, but anyways, it's genuine. I do really wish and hope you guys are having a great start to your day and a great day out there so far. But we're going to talk about a couple things in this video. As always, we're going to focus in on today, but we're also at the very end of the video going to give you just some brief updated information from overnight, talking about some model guidance on what's going on. Really, we're in this week now, so later this week, talking about Thursday and a Friday and a Saturday, and maybe even after that, and just talk about a couple things. But we're not going to stay on it long at all, and I always say that we end up staying way longer on it than I originally thought I was going to, but we aren't. We'll focus more on it tonight and give you some real true update information, so stay tuned for that. If you folks have not subscribed, certainly consider doing that. Like the video if you like it. It goes a long way, and I really appreciate it. I was thinking about this morning how things were really starting to ramp up this time last year. If we rewind back to January 8th last year, things were really starting to pick back up. We were already eyeballing a system that ultimately ended up slamming the Carolinas with a winter storm, and it's just a totally different story this year. It really is. And I know I woke up reading the comments this morning. There's a lot of bummed out people like, where's winter? I'm not sure. It's just if we go back to the beginning of winter, we knew we were going to enter a La Nina, and certainly that is the case. And it's just things that we typically see in La Ninas, which is normally low pressures cutting across the country, normally a southeast ridge. If it isn't there, sometimes we'll get a window of a favorable pattern, and if we don't cash in on those favorable windows like back in around the holidays, then we lose it, and then we enter the pattern that we've been in now for the last 10 to 14 days. So winter isn't over. I know a lot of people will beg to differ, but we're going to try to figure it out and see if for you winter weather fans, and that includes me, if we can eventually get something to work with. But for now, I'll be honest, guys, I don't see anything. But we're going to figure it out for today. If you folks got anything that I can pray about, please put it in the comments below. It gives me an opportunity to pray over it, and it gives others an opportunity to do so too. Let's get rolling this morning. The West continues to be active. That is, a story that's been ongoing over the last several days. I think there'll be a little bit of a break today for you folks. It's pretty active right now, but I think as we get into the afternoon hours, things will let up a little bit in general, but you'll still be dealing with a lot of messy weather for the western states of the U.S. here. But we're dealing with a little system going on across the southeast and then into the mid-Atlantic. Some winter, some frozen precipitation already spreading into areas of North Carolina, maybe even the higher elevations of, into the mountains of Virginia, maybe even the higher elevations of North Carolina. This isn't going to be a big deal today, but of course we'll give you the updated information on what some areas could see. Could Washington, D.C. see maybe a couple flakes today? It's possible, but we'll see what happens. Other than that, guys, it's pretty quiet. In general, the middle of the country continues to be pretty quiet. We're dealing with some showers and storms this morning across areas of the western deep south. So, watches and warnings. We still have those winter weather advisories. Not really any changes from last night's video when I talked about this. Pretty much the same counties, except I think a couple counties in western Maryland have been added to the winter weather advisories. We have some flash flood warnings down here, just due to the fact that you guys have already seen a lot of rain over the last several days, and you're already seeing rain this morning. Dense fog advisories in the gray, and just a huge amount of warnings and watches and advisories, things like that out here in California and areas of Oregon where it just continues to be very active. Let's talk about the southeast this morning. Luckily, the latest HRRR model is running now, but we have enough of it to kind of look at the majority of the next 24 hours. But let me know what you're seeing in Alabama and Mississippi this morning, Louisiana, if any of these storms are packing a punch. The HRRR model says they might be, but as we get into the morning hours, 11 a.m., 10 a.m. time frame, some showers could be ongoing across southern sections of Louisiana, maybe even far up the far northern coastline of Texas. And then, showers will be moving into the Birmingham area. Definitely if you're in the Gulf states, deep south, even if it's not rain, it's going to be kind of a cloudy day. Certainly one of those Sundays after church or just whenever that, it'll be a good day to take a nap for sure. Showers starting to move into the Atlanta area as early as maybe 11 a.m. lunchtime. And then it'll just be showers maybe some heavier burst of rain in areas of eastern Tennessee, eastern Kentucky. And I think at this point, it might just be rain in the mountains of North Carolina, Tennessee, and Virginia, and even West Virginia. But we keep this going here. Some of this will start to turn into some winter weather in areas of central and north central areas of Virginia. Maybe a burst of snow or sleet. I don't think it's going to amount to much, but we'll zone in on this area here in a second, so bear with me. But just some showers, maybe some heavier rains as we get into around dinner time tonight across areas of central to southern Alabama, northern to maybe central areas of Georgia, and eventually as we get into the late evening hours, overnight hours, we could have some maybe storm activity along the extreme coastal regions of North Carolina, but just showers, moving through Georgia and South Carolina, North Carolina, and Southeast Virginia. So just a rainy Sunday, not widespread rains, but certainly if you're not even seeing rains, it might just be kind of cloudy or mostly cloudy. My folks up here in the Northeast, and a lot of the focus is going to be down here in Virginia. And in fact, we'll probably just go on and look at the HRRR model here in a second. But, for most of the Northeast up here, pretty quiet. This little system, most of the precipitation is not going to make it this far north. And it looks like just a really heavy washout in areas of the Delmarva region. So, in fact, we're just going to go on and jump to this region down here, Delmarva, Maryland, Delaware, Virginia, West Virginia, Pennsylvania up here. I think y'all get the gist here. But let me see if I can get a updated version of this HRRR model. Okay, I think we're good now. So, like I said, actually, if we look at the radar out of National Weather Service in Roanoke, you see this pink here? That's where the radar is trying to say that maybe some sleet, freezing rain is falling. In fact, you look at these reports just south of Roanoke, you got reports of freezing drizzle and freezing rain. So, just be careful out there, especially in these higher elevations. But we'll see what happens in areas like Charlottesville a little bit later today, where the HRRR model, especially just north of Charlottesville, has maybe a burst of sleet or snow. So let me know what you guys see up here. I don't think it's going to be a big deal. I really don't. But who knows? You never know when you're going to have a surprise. So be careful, be mindful, and it's kind of a now thing, which means, it's pretty much what I said, it's kind of developing right now. So we can look at these short range models all day, but you guys with your eyes can actually see what's going on. So definitely let me know what you're seeing. I'll be interested to see what kind of happens in this area of Virginia and Maryland, even Delaware a little bit later today. But if we look at the latest HRRR model, it's doing pretty good so far, picking up. We get into the morning hours, getting into the late morning hours, and I think there'll be a period between now and maybe about late morning where the precip kind of dries up or evaporates here, and there's kind of a lull, and then a reinforcement of moisture will move through as we're getting into about 1-2 p.m. and this will move through the entire state of Virginia, and I think it could be just cool enough for these areas of Virginia and central Virginia and northern Virginia, and of course the higher hills and mountains of a far eastern West Virginia, that some of this could fall as a little bit of freezing rain, sleet, and snow. And you keep this going into the afternoon hours and then eventually into the evening hours, Charlottesville right into here, maybe a burst of heavy snow. I really think it just depends on how heavy the precipitation is. The heavier it is, the more it crashes the column aloft, meaning above our heads. And we get dynamic cooling with this. So a burst of snow is certainly possible, and it could coat some things very briefly. But we keep this going. Washington, D.C. right in here just shows mainly rain as we get into the evening hours, but maybe some flakes mixing in. But, I looked at when we were looking at this last night, it looked like a nice burst of snow for Delaware, maybe even southern New Jersey. But for now, it's now just looking like good old-fashioned cool to cold rain here. But there's going to be another area of precipitation that really gets going into the overnight hours. And this is actually what could deliver the hills and the mountainous regions of southern and southwest Pennsylvania into far western Maryland. And then the mountainous regions of West Virginia, some, accumulating snow. I think that will happen overnight tonight with this little band that could be quite heavy. Could drop 1 to 2 inches of snow. In fact, the National Weather Service says that's certainly possible. So definitely watch this, and then we'll watch as this little area of precipitation. This is in the middle of the night, so temperatures, of course, are cooler. We'll watch this and see if it, potentially can drift its way into New York City, into Philadelphia, Boston. In fact, we'll just look at New York City right here. And sure enough, here it comes. You got some snow moving into areas of northern New Jersey. And this looks like a heavier burst of snow as we're waking up tomorrow morning around 6 a.m. If you wake up at 6 a.m. and look at the rain crashing the snow in New York City, Long Island. So we'll talk a little bit about this tonight. This could deliver maybe a little quick surprise as you're waking up for your Monday morning tomorrow, and then it tapers off here, and it's not a big deal. But you look at snowfart. Here's a little joke for you this morning. It looks like some light accumulations are certainly possible, across southern, the southeast, and eastern areas of Pennsylvania, where a half an inch of snow is enough to make the ground white. Not very white, but white. Definitely a solid coating of snow. And then maybe in some of these areas right in here, some heavier snow in the mountainous regions of West Virginia and Pennsylvania and western Maryland. We'll watch for this. I mean, maybe a dusting, even outside the mountains in northern VA is certainly possible, where a 10th to a 20th of an inch of snow is showing up, and I think that's very possible. So we'll see what happens. Snowfall showing up for that little band that I was showing you just a second ago. It's saying New York City could pick up maybe a dusting of snow. Northern New Jersey, maybe more of a dusting, maybe more so of a coating of snow is certainly possible. Philadelphia, we'll watch out. Might definitely see at least some flakes flying around tomorrow morning, especially. If we go back and I meant to show you guys icing, but there are definitely some icing concerns if you're in. Let's go back. Let's look right here. A little bit of freezing rain could certainly become an issue, especially later today, especially these higher hills and mountains in eastern West Virginia, and even some of these higher mountaintops in Virginia could certainly see maybe upwards to a 1/4 inch of ice. And you guys already saw a nasty ice storm about 3 or 4 weeks ago in this region of the country. So just be aware of the ice and definitely be weather aware. My folks up here in the south central, or down here in the south central U.S., you're dealing with some showers and storms this morning, maybe in the Houston area, but they're going to kind of fade away here. And like I said, I mentioned in southern sections of Louisiana, some more showers and heavier rains. And then by the time you get into this evening, I think most of it will be chilling out at least. But for the rest of the south central U.S., nothing. Not a flake of snow or drop of rain for the rest of the day. All the way through tomorrow morning, it remains pretty quiet. We haven't talked much on this region or spent much time on it in quite some time. Which means that y'all are doing something good out here, unless you want active weather, which, if it's a snowstorm, I understand. But at least we're not talking severe weather. But I can tell you, mentioning severe weather, I would not be surprised if there was another severe weather event on the horizon. And I'm about to talk to you about why here in a second. I don't see anything specifically, but I wouldn't be surprised if we're talking about another one with the way that the pattern's setting up here in the future. But the north central U.S., could have a round of some light snow in areas of Illinois a little bit later today, with that same system that's going to be affecting the mid-Atlantic, kind of throw some moisture back west. But I don't think it's going to be anything to get really excited about, unless a few flakes of snow get you excited, which it does me. But for Illinois standards, I don't think a few flakes of snow is going to get many people very excited or even noticed. But the rest of the north central U.S., guys, very quiet all the way through tomorrow morning. Nothing going on. You look at this map, I don't see one little area of green or blue or pink or anything on this map, so pretty quiet. The western U.S. will continue to be active. You're very active right now. Heavier rains and heavy mountain snows. It just depends on elevation. You guys know that out here. And some moisture will make it all the way to Idaho, where a round of snow could get into Idaho depending on your elevation. Same thing with Nevada and Oregon, Washington State. But you noticed, as we're getting into this afternoon and this evening for Northern Cal, you guys get a little bit of break as far as precipitation. No more rounds of precipitation. But then, of course, as we're getting into overnight tonight, here comes another round. Greeting you guys in the wee hours of the morning tomorrow morning into just tomorrow in general. Here comes another round. Heavy mountain snow and then heavy valley rain. So you guys just keep on doing your thing out here. Just stay strong. But it's good to see all this rain. But I can tell you, this system getting into tonight, into tomorrow morning, looks big. It looks like it's going to cover a lot more areas. So this is when I think a lot of snow is going to really start to add up in the Sahara Nevada. So, man, that looks like some heavy snow as we're getting, and heavy rains. And this is going to move into L.A., or it's going to try to get down to L.A. So be careful. I think tomorrow really ramps up for the western U.S. I really do. As I don't even know how many waves of moisture this has been so far, to be honest with you. Temperatures, it'll still stay warm. If you're along the Gulf Coast, a nice day. I mean, maybe some clouds, but temperature-wise, I mean, 60s and 70s. Once you start to get into Tennessee and then northern areas of North Carolina, points north Arkansas points north, Oklahoma points north. It starts to feel a little bit more like winter, but still nothing as bad as we could be seeing temperature-wise. And then you start to get way up here in the interior northeast. I mean, Boston, I think, will struggle to get above 32 degrees a day. Of course, it feels more like January, but this is nothing compared to how bad it could be for early to mid-January standards. So, stay cool or either stay warm out there. It's definitely a difference depending on geographical location out there today for sure. Speaking on the system, late this week now, not next week, there's, some decent agreement now on what's going to happen. In fact, I can tell you that it looks like that the system has sped up a little bit, meaning it might not cover the entire weekend now. It might move in as early as maybe Thursday for a lot of folks, and here it comes. We're getting into Thursday about midday, low pressure riding right over the Ohio Valley. Which means in most cases, the only people that's likely going to see winter weather or in the Great Lakes region or maybe the western sections of the Ohio Valley. But we continue to keep the Euro going here. We're getting into Thursday evening. The latest Euro wants to have some backside snow for areas of Indiana, northwest Ohio, and then Illinois. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with this. This is a different scenario showing up, I can tell you that. Hold on, guys. I'm going to get my cat into the room before she has a... Come on. Sorry, guys. That's something new for you folks. Getting up in the middle of the video and leaving the screen. But anyways, my cat was scratching at the door and she was very loud. I don't know if y'all heard it. But come on. Okay. All right. I need to wrap this up and give her some love. So... it's a different scenario in the Euro now, right? I mean, they're showing a little bit of snow on the northern side of this low, but of course the low pressure is not favorable for everybody along the eastern U.S. It's rain for a lot of areas. It's all rain for West Virginia. I know I got a loyal viewer in West Virginia who's begging for snow, and I don't blame you, man. The ski country has really been suffering across most of the Appalachian Mountains, especially the central to southern areas. And this isn't going to do it any favors. It really isn't. But you keep this system going. We're getting into overnight Thursday into Friday. And this is a little bit of a different scenario. Now, you're having a low pressure moving a little bit further south. And it's showing now a little bit of snow for areas of the Ohio Valley. I'm talking about, Cleveland. All the way back to southern areas of Indiana. I'm not trying to give you guys a bunch of hope. It's not what I'm trying to do. But this is the European, and we are getting closer to this event. But this is a little bit different now. It even shows backside cold air, which this happens when you have these intense low pressures that move through. They bring their own cold air behind it temporarily. And in this case, you're getting a little bit of blue showing up as far south as the plateau of Tennessee. And you got some snow showing up in Kentucky. But we keep this going here. It's definitely different. We take it all the way back. We take it all the way to around Friday evening. And you have a pretty substantial winter weather event for rain changing to snow for West Virginia, for Western Maryland, even some snow showing up in the mountainous areas of Virginia. And then you got the northwest flow starting to kick up in the southern Appalachian Mountains of Tennessee and North Carolina. And then you got some snow showing up for western New York State, western Pennsylvania, and the interior areas of the Northeast in general. But you notice the low pressure is riding right up the I-95 corridor, which isn't favorable. But it's an interesting scenario because if you go back and look at the Euro from the one I showed you last night, it wasn't showing this. So look at this, right? And we'll go on and run through the entire run, and then it's over. It's over by Saturday evening for almost everybody. But if you stop here, this is around Friday afternoon, this coming Friday afternoon. And if I go back and look at the run from the run that I showed you last night, totally different, right? Did you see that jump north with the low pressure? So, now you look at the current one, that's a pretty substantial shift south. I'm not saying that we're going to get trend all the way to a major winter storm for the Carolinas or something, for example. I'm not saying that. But I'm just saying that's something to watch for sure. Now, I can tell you the GFS is saying nada. The GFS is on the warm train. Low pressure shoots through Ohio, rides almost all the way into southeast Canada. It does show some back-end snow for areas of the Ohio Valley, West Virginia, Kentucky, but definitely not near as intense as what the Euro is showing. But I can tell you, for example, the GFS would deliver areas like Cleveland a pretty substantial snow. But it's just one model run. We got to watch. It's some interesting ticks overnight. Certainly. But we'd certainly need to watch this. But, they could just turn around and tick warmer. Who knows? But the GFS definitely, as we're getting into Saturday morning, this coming Saturday morning, certainly show a pretty decent northwest flow event with wraparound moisture and cold air sinking in that could deliver snow for these mountainous areas of the southern Appalachian Mountains. So we'll certainly continue to watch it, guys. And, there's an assemble for anybody trying to find snow and going to the mountains maybe this weekend. And you do have I definitely think the mountains are going to see some kind of snow. Is it going to be an inch or two, or is it going to be a foot? I think the jury's still out. I really do. But this is snowfall from the ensemble run, not one operational run, which I think is the better thing to show here. Snow for West Virginia, Virginia, North Carolina, Tennessee. You're definitely going to be, if you want to see snow, I don't think going to Asheville is going to be a good option, or going to Knoxville. I think you're going to have to get really close to like Gatlinburg or Boone, or get somewhere in one of those little small communities way up in the mountains to see enough snow for your kids to make a snowman or something. So that's just an option for you guys who are really wanting snow. Now, I want to show you the general pattern in general. This is the latest GFS. This just tells you how unfavorable, even for the middle of January, snow is. So we'll start this off. This is the system we just talked about. This runs across the eastern U.S. So what's the next system after that? Gets kind of quiet, right? All the way through early next week. And here comes another system. And look what it's doing. It's cutting across the middle of the country. So what that tells me is you're getting a pool of warm, moist air probably all the way into the Gulf states. And you could end up getting a severe weather event out of this. I mean, look out west. You guys continue to get slammed. I mean, this is for 8-9 days out. You still got systems slamming into the Pacific. This moves in, and then you look for the next storm. This cuts across the middle of the country, which tells me there's a ton of warm air getting pulled into the eastern U.S. So I don't see anything favorable. I really don't, guys. I'm just being honest. So I'm not saying winter's over, guys. I mean, even if you go all the way to the very end of the GFS, you're still only at January 24th. Now, a lot of people are writing off February just due to the fact that it's a La Nina, and history tells us that February's are a no-go for winter weather in the eastern U.S. for February. The southeast ridge flexes, yada, 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 things like that. But guys, you never know. You never know if you can fit in some kind of huge winter storm in the middle of a crappy pattern, and you just never know when it's going to be. So just stay tuned. I'm not going to be one of those guys that just hammers hope, have hope, be positive. But it is the weather. And guys, the weather's going to do whatever the weather wants to do. It doesn't matter how upset you get at it. Trust me, I remember the last time I took the weather super personal was January 3rd, 2018. I think for some of you local viewers, you guys know what happened that date. And that is when the eastern Carolinas, like Charleston, Savannah, Myrtle Beach, Wilmington, and basically Orangeburg, Florence, for you folks, listening in the Carolinas and Georgia, you guys know what, those towns are and everything. They got accumulating snow, and the snow literally stopped about 30 to 45 miles east of my location. While I sat there in a bitterly cold temperatures, watched people like 45 minutes to my east get slammed while I got nothing. And that was that winter 2017 and 2018 where I think every city in the southeast I got appreciable snowfall, which I always consider an inch or more, except Columbia, South Carolina. I was so bitter over that, guys. And I told myself after that winter, I will never take winter weather or weather in general, let it get me that frustrated again. And I haven't. That was the same winter where the Panhandle of Florida saw winter weather twice. And up here in Columbia, South Carolina, we didn't get anything. It was a great winter for most of the Southeast. That's the same winter where just north of Atlanta picked up a foot of snow in early December of 2017. But I was in the outside looking in with every single system. It was a pretty miserable winter for me. But so I get it, guys. I get it. But we'll see what happens. Let's keep on trucking through winter, and let's see what happens, guys. God bless all y'all. I'll have you an update this evening. We have to see what these models do. Some interesting ticks overnight for sure. But God bless all y'all. Have a great day, and I'll be with you this evening.